Have you ever felt paralyzed by the thoughts of failing or, strangely enough, even by the thoughts of succeeding? This is a contradiction that many of us ambitious high achievers face. We are driven to achieve, but those same ambitions keep us stuck in cycles of perfectionism, procrastination, and burnout. The truth is, these patterns aren't just habits, they're actually deeply rooted fears in our subconscious minds that have been wired to protect us. So, in this episode, we're going to dive into how these fears manifest and actually the neuroscience behind them. I'm also going to share some actionable insights on how to break free from these self sabotaging patterns. And then I'm going to introduce you to a sneak peek of a powerful 30-day tool that I have designed to help you reprogram your mindset and conquer either fear, whether you have a fear of failure, whether you have a fear of success. It's truly time to release all of this nonsense that is holding us back so that we can all step in to our full potential and truly live out our big goal energy dreams.
I can tell you've got big goal energy. Are you ready to turn your wildest dreams into your everyday reality? You are in the right place. Welcome to Big Goal Energy, the podcast that helps you turn your audacious and delusional dreams into your everyday life. We know that you don't settle for the ordinary, that you have dreams which others may deem unrealistic. But here, we help you defy reality and bring those dreams to life. Each episode of Big Goal Energy empowers you with knowledge, inspiration, and mentorship to conquer your most unrealistic goals. From transparent roundtable conversations to short-form episodes, you'll hear the experiences of women who have defied reality, as well as learn practical tips and strategies to fuel your journey. Join us by subscribing to Big Goal Energy, and together we'll turn your audacious dreams into remarkable achievements.
Hello, y'all. Bree Seeley here. I am super jazzed about this episode that we have coming up for you right now because the subconscious mind is, frankly, one of my favorite things to talk about. I think that growing up and the generations prior to mine have operated from this understanding that our brain is our brain and it's learned what it's learned, and you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And what we have come to discover in the last at least 10, if not more years, is that you can actually teach an old dog new tricks. Now, I am not calling myself old, nor you old, nor a dog, none of those things. But it is so common for us to say, well, this is just how I am. Well, this is just how I think. Well, this is just, what has happened in my life up until this point. All these things, all this trauma, these experiences that I had, like, this is just who I am. And I am here to tell you that if you so choose, you don't have to hold on to this bullshit anymore. One of my Reiki healers, back when I lived in Olympia, Washington, said to me, because I say these things and I can share these things with you because that's how I used to live. Before I started diving into my spiritual path, into my entrepreneurial path, like, that's exactly what I thought as well. I was no different than a lot of people that currently believe that. I started seeing a Reiki healer after a particularly bad car accident. And she said to me at one point, Bree, you have all of these experiences from the first 25 years of your life. You have all this trauma that you experienced, like, you have all these things. And it's like you took all of those things, and obviously, when we have experiences, we make beliefs out of them, right? You took all these experiences and you took all these beliefs that you now have as a result of those experiences. It's like you packed them up in a U-Haul. And every time you go to do something, or you go to think something, or you go to build something or whatever, you're like getting back in that U-Haul where you've stored all of this shit from your past. She's like, what if you could unpack that U-Haul and no longer carry all of that shit around with you all day, every day? And it was kind of the first time someone had introduced me to this kind of concept. Oh my gosh, I don't have to carry or bear the burden of my past every single time, or navigate through all of this bullshit every single time I go to make a move or take a step or do a thing in my life. It was such a radical concept to me. So then I started doing the unpacking process. And the hard thing about that unpacking process is our conscious mind is only, I think, about like 5 to 8% of what we have access to. Our subconscious mind then is about 92 to 95% of our mind. The reason this happens is because there's so much in our day to day that we don't consciously need to put our attention on. I don't consciously need to pay attention to how to microwave my bone broth that I'm drinking right now. I don't need to consciously pay attention to every single thing I do in the shower. I've been showering for 40 plus years. What your brain does is when you have kind of repeated experiences, it starts cataloging them in a way where you don't have to use your conscious attention on that thing to do that thing. Everyday examples, going to the bathroom, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair, taking a shower, like all those things you don't need your conscious mind to do. They are subconsciously programmed. And it's better for us that way, actually, because then it's freeing up. If anyone's ever had their phone tell them that their memory is full, it's freeing up that memory so that you can actually tend to the things that you need your conscious brain for. The problem, though, is that then your subconscious gets all of this programming in it around things that have happened to you in the past. It's not even things that are happening to you right now, but it creates shortcuts in your subconscious to tell you like, oh, well, when you're facing a big decision, cue the fear of failure, the fear of success. If you've seen Inside Out, you've seen this whole process play out on screen. So I love being able to access the subconscious because the programming that you currently have for your fear of failure or fear of success is what runs every time you think about going after your big goals. Every time your ambition kicks in, then immediately following that, your subconscious responds with your fear of failure, fear of success programming. Now, we're going to dive into this a little bit so that you can start to release some of these things. And then I mentioned I have a tool that I am going to be introducing next month that will be able to help you with this. That's going to be super low priced, super easy, like 10, 15 minutes a day for 30 days. If you were to devote 10 to 15 minutes a day for 30 days to getting rid of your fear of failure or fear of success, would it be worth it to you? I'm pretty sure the answer to that question is yes. So I have a tool that I'm going to share with you at the end about that. But for now, let's dive in. As I kind of led into this with, a lot of these fears stem from past emotional experiences, oftentimes either things that our parents have experienced, things that our parents have taught us, our peers, our teachers, societal pressures, like all of those things kind of create this cacophony of experiences that can then either manifest in our programming as a fear of failure or fear of success. These things can feel super overwhelming. We can have fears about, particularly with success, we can have fears about, will we be able to maintain it? Are we going to face judgment from our peers or our family or our colleagues? Is being successful going to eliminate freedom from our lives? If it's fear of failure, again, that facing judgment, what are people going to think? Are they going to brand me as a failure? Are they going to remove me from their lives? There's so many narratives that go with this. And while I don't know the specific narratives that you're facing, I know that they're there, and one of the biggest first steps is to get clear on what those narratives are. The first step in any process is awareness. If you can't spot it, you can't change it. So let's talk about that awareness process and just kind of starting to release any of the emotional charge around those things. If you are dealing with a fear of failure, some helpful things to journal about or to meditate on could be some of the past experiences you've had that you've labeled as failures, especially when we're children. Oftentimes, when we label experiences from our past as failure, part of the thing that we don't see when we're children is that most of those failures were not actually failures. But experiencing those failures can drive us into things like perfectionism or procrastination. So it's really important in the beginning with this awareness to go back and kind of revisit some of those past experiences so that you can let go of the emotional charge related to them. A huge thing about hypnotherapy is truly just reframing the experience that happened and changing the perspective about it. My biggest example about this is when I had to close my fashion brand. I had about 9 months worth of debilitating fears of failure. I had to go through so much emotional baggage around this because the narrative in society is that if you walk away from something, you failed. And what I had to do was spend days, weeks, months in the fetal position, on my couch, in my bed, truly looking at the depths of the monsters that I had been carrying around and understanding what was a failure versus what was a redirection. And what I came to learn specifically in that situation is that I had been experiencing depression and panic attacks for at least 18 months leading up to closing my brand. So, was it a failure to walk away from a circumstance or situation that was causing me extreme distress? Or was it a redirection inviting me to step into a new reality, the one that you see here today, 10 years later? I had to do the work of, again, unpacking that U-Haul of all of the past stories about failure, all of the societal projections about failure, all of the things that people were saying about me closing down my brand or not saying that I made up in my head that I thought they were saying. I had to unpack that entire U-Haul, proverbial U-Haul, of course, to make sure that I wasn't carrying any of that stuff forward with me. Now, again, this takes a lot of soul searching. It takes a lot of journaling. It takes a lot of being willing to look at things that you haven't looked at in a very long time. And if you have access to a tool like hypnosis, again, I'll give you more info at the very end. It can be a shortcut. It can be something that helps you get in there, identify what needs to shift, shift the perspective, and move on, and then replace it with what your paradigm is going to be moving forward. All right. We're going to dive into 2 more points, but we're going to take a quick break with a free resource that's going to help you to defy reality and do big things in your life. So I will be right back.
Are you an entrepreneur with a bigger vision for your business, but no clear path to build it? You need strategy, accountability, and community to transform the business you have into the entrepreneurial legacy you dream of. No more overworking for mediocre results. No more confusion about achieving your massive dreams. No more doubting your audacious goals. The Foundry is your opportunity to say yes to the big goals within you and build them with ease and alignment. Apply now to become one of just 10 entrepreneurs in this exclusive mastermind. Visit breesealy.com/mastermind and don't wait. Your legacy starts today.
Okay, so kind of as I mentioned in the last section, when I was talking about having to unpack and let go of those emotional charges and release all of that baggage that we've been carrying around, I think the next really important thing is that reframing process, which again happens within hypnotherapy. You look at the circumstances and situations that have been causing this experience, this emotional charge in your life, and then you look at, okay, what is actually the truth of this situation? So like I said, with my fashion label, I had to look at, was it a failure to walk away from something that was killing my adrenals, leaving me super fucking stressed out, putting me into more and more debt, just really bringing out the worst in me? Was that actually a failure, or was it an invitation for me to realize that I had a new pathway available to me? Now, what's interesting is I think that had I not hit that dire circumstance of having that moment where I totaled my car and then went into meditation and the universe told me to shut down my business, had I not gotten to that point, I don't know if I would have taken the steps to change my circumstances on my own. I think sometimes we need those moments of extreme emotional charge to be able to take that next step forward, because I had told my mom that if I didn't have fashion, that I didn't really have a reason to live. I didn't see another pathway. But in letting go of that and in reframing my success, all of a sudden a new pathway opened up for me. When I realized that that business taught me so much about business, and that I had had so many extreme successes in that business. I'm actually currently deleting all my Facebook posts, and I've been able to go back and revisit dressing Toni Braxton and having my stuff on The Bachelor and getting into my first boutique and selling on Zappos.com, right? Like I learned so much and created so much success in that, that what if that was never actually meant to be the entirety of my life? What if that was meant to be a stepping stone to catapult me into my next chapter of life? So instead of latching onto that experience and perceiving it as a failure, shifting my brain, shifting my perspective, reframing that experience is what helped me actually step more easily into the success that I'm having and have had for the last 10 years in this business. The thing about holding on to our fears, whether it's a fear of success or a fear of failure, is that that fear is always holding us in the past. That fear is not letting us move forward into our futures. And it's frankly not even letting us envision what could be possible for ourselves in the future. Our subconscious brain speaks in pictures. So if we can't envision our future success because these fears are holding us in the past, our subconscious is literally stuck. It can't get us anywhere because we're not allowing it to tap into that future success that we're looking for. So we have unpacked our U-Haul. We've reframed our stories about our past failures, and now we're ready to step into our future successes. We're ready to envision what that future self can look like and how that future self feels. And because we can do that, then we're able to align and start taking different actions to move forward into that vision. So I shut my fashion brand down in March of 2015. I told you I took about 9 months for me to do the unpacking and the reframing as I was starting to build this business. December 25th of 2015, so almost exactly 9 months later, I was sitting on top of Mount Hollywood with my journal, and I was able to sit down and truly write out what success looked like to me. I wrote out who I was surrounding myself with, the kind of impact I was having in the world, the money I was making, the home I lived in, the relation, like I was able to write out all of it. Now, I did a lot of practices, which I still do, and I also get my clients to do as well, in tapping into that vision of success every single day. I wrote it all out December 25th, and then I lived into those future successes even before they showed up in my life every day for months. Now, the cool thing is, about 8 months after I wrote that, it was about August of 2016, I was taking myself out for dinner that night because my entire house was packed. I was getting ready to move into my dream condo in downtown LA. I brought my journal with me and I was going to sit and I was just going to journal and reflect on the previous 8 months of my life and business that had unfolded. And what was really interesting was I actually opened up my journal to what I had written in December of 2015. At some point prior to August 2016, I had kind of stopped checking in with it. I'd kind of stopped doing the success practices that I had started doing that were working for me. So I opened up my journal and what I had written in December 2015 was staring me in the face. And I read over all the pages and I was like, holy shit, this is my life. My businesses were both thriving. I had just had my first $50,000 launch. Little did I know, a month later, I was getting ready to have my second $50,000 launch in my business. My relationships were thriving. I was moving into my dream apartment. I was making the impact I wanted to make, like literally almost everything. There were a few things that hadn't come to pass yet. Almost everything had manifested into my reality because I was willing to do the work to unpack my U-Haul, shift my perspective, and anchor my identity into those future successes. So I want to encourage you, if you feel like you are currently experiencing fears of failure or fears of success, I want you to go through this. What are the narratives you're holding on to about success and or failure that are really truly just no longer serving you? How do you want to reframe those so that you can let go of them? What is the story you actually want to tell about success and failure? And then what is the identity of the person that has that life? Who is the you that's already living into those future successes without the fears of failure and success? So I want to tell you just really quickly before we wrap about my upcoming tool that can help you with this process. I will be releasing a suite of hypnoses. These hypnoses are each 30-day experiences that are going to help you with various different areas of your life. Now, there will be a hypnosis specific to removing the fear of failure and the fear of success. There will also be hypnoses that are related to overcoming burnout, giving yourself permission to leap, healing from procrastination, scaling your business, becoming a CEO and leader of your business, all of these things. There will be bundles of hypnoses and also individual hypnoses. And for those of you that don't know, I actually got certified in hypnotherapy because I experienced it. I received hypnotherapy for several things in my life in the same manner that these are structured, and it changed everything for me. Hypnosis truly is a shortcut. And doing 30 days of reprogramming your mindset for success is absolutely transformational. It is a fast track to the things that you are looking for in your life. And I can say that because I do it. I do it for myself. I do it for my clients. I am a firm believer in and proponent for getting your subconscious brain on board with where you're going and what you're doing. Because if you have to spend your days fighting against 93 to 95% of your brain, it is a very, very rough journey. So if you are interested in getting notified when these hypnoses launch, I want you to go to breesealy.com/fear and enter in your email. When the hypnosis package launches, there will be a special promo, all sorts of things, and I want you to be one of the first ones to know about it. In closing, I just want to remind you that fears of success and fears of failure are completely, totally, fully normal. And you do not have to hold on to them anymore. You do not have to live by those rules anymore. You can overcome them. Your potential is so incredibly great. And taking these intentional steps towards your growth, your evolution, and your big goals can only result in more success. So if you would like the special access to the hypnoses, go to breesealy.com/fear. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of Big Goal Energy. It is always my greatest honor and pleasure to be in your ears. If you know of someone who is currently experiencing fears of success or fears of failure, please pass this along to them. I am so excited to be growing our listenership and getting more people aligned with their big goals so they can go out there and do the ambitious, audacious, delusional things that are on their heart. Bree Seeley here. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Big Goal Energy. We trust that it fueled your ambition and made you feel seen. We are a community of ambitious female entrepreneurs like you. Come join us in the Big Goal Energy community by visiting breesealy.com/community. In the meantime, send your questions for us to cover in the episodes to info@breesealy.com. Together, we'll turn your audacious dreams into remarkable achievements. Cheers to defying reality. See you on the next episode.